What's going on, everybody? It's Dave Drakes with the Collective Experience, and we're back for another episode of Foul Plugs Moto Show. Now, don't adjust the color on your TV, but Manny couldn't join us, so Brad Gebhart of Big MX Radio decided to step in. Manny's dealing with some snow in Texas because apparently they've never had snow and it's a whole apocalypse. But us northern boys know what's going on. Brad, thanks for taking the time to talk to me this week. We got some cool stuff to talk about. How are you feeling going into yet another week of Supercross on Saturday?
Dude, I am stoked. Manny texted me. He said, we got to fly you down here. Only the Canadians know how to deal with this type of snow. But luckily for them, I think it'll be gone pretty soon. Interesting story one time. In Philadelphia, they had so much snow that they actually called the mayor of my city here in Winnipeg. We actually got a phone call as to how to deal with it, because we have snow clearing budgets that are in the tens of millions every year because we get so much of it. It's currently minus 35 outside, but the racing is hot on the track, and it's too bad that Manny Fresh can't be with us, but luckily I hit the tanning beds before this. I got a little bit of color. I don't think you can tell, but I'm looking forward to cracking this off with you. Always fun when we catch up and talk a little bit of Supercross.
Oh, most definitely. There's a lot to talk about, like I said before. Luckily, this season, it keeps us all pretty much amped up, and like you said, the action's pretty hot on the track. I don't think we really get a dull moment, so I think we're very much treated to some awesome racing. Let's just get kicked into it. You guys know the format. We're gonna try our best to keep this 3 minutes per topic, but as usual, Brad and myself, we are blabbermouths. We love to keep going. First topic, Brad. We saw a kind of, like, I want to say a little bit of an upset. Like, no one's too surprised to see the 450 top three kind of shuffle around a little bit, but we've had the reign of ROCZEN for all of the indie stretch, and this weekend we had Webb kind of move to the front. Is it time to or time for ROCZEN to kind of get a little nervous? Should he be a little, I guess, rustled by Webb at this point, or do you think ROCZEN's kind of got a decent command on this thing?
Well, I had to break out my thesaurus to see what rustled means, but I don't think that he is flustered or any type of no one's ruffling anybody's feathers when it comes to Ken Roczen right now. I think he had a good start. He wasn't able to move right into that perfect position that he was looking for. And on a track that it seemed difficult to push, it like the jump sequences looked very disjointed. There was that one rhythm section where a lot of the 250s were going 2-2-2, and even the 3-2-1 going right before the finish line never looked clean. Nobody, like, a lot of guys were OJing the 2 or like just clipping the 3 and stuff like that. It never looked clean. Yep. And I think on a night like that, Ken Roczen is mature enough to say, hey, like, I'm in second right now. The only guy that I'm really worried about is just the guy ahead of me. I'll take 3 points and I'll move on to the next round. And if Kenny had more of an opportunity to move into that spot, I think he definitely would have had it or taken it. But the lappers situation, that the way they were, it actually kind of worked out similarly in the 250 class, where like they'd get on each other and then a lapper or two would separate them, and they're kind of yo-yoing back and forth. And I think that was the culprit and the sort of the deciding factor of how things ended up, is that Ken never really had that shot just to put a move on Cooper. Yeah. And late in a race, I don't think there's a single guy out there that is more in the zone and lethal late in a race. So like, that's the last guy I want to deal with late in the moto is Cooper Webb. So that was a perfect storm for him to just lead the rest of those laps, and good on Cooper. That's a get right weekend after having some humble pie for 3 races.
I would agree with you 100%. I think what I like about Roczen is that he says it on the podium too. I never let my highs get too high, never let my lows get too low. He kind of stays even keel, continues business as usual. Yeah, we see some explosive emotions here and there sometimes, a la with Dean Wilson, that whole debacle. However, I like Roczen's cool head, his mental focus, and he just keeps moving forward. One thing I will say is that I'm a Roczen fan, no secret to the listeners and subscribers, but I get very nervous when I see Webb making that inch up the last couple of laps, because
Cricket
reel him in for like whatever reason. I think he's able just to upset Roczen just a little bit, enough to where he starts making mistakes on the last lap or the last 2 laps, especially when Webb is close enough to actually be within striking distance. It's bad enough just knowing, hey, I got Webb behind me. This guy 9 times out of 10 will literally go off the track trying to pass me on the last lap for that win, for a sneaky win. Yeah, it's just, I feel like it's a lot for Roczen to process, but he does seem to be doing a better job with it. I think he's a smart racer and knows how to progress and move forward. So again, I agree with you. I don't think Roczen should be pulling the panic button or getting nervous. And I'm sure we're clear over 3 minutes with that one.
Easy.
See, I get passionate about Roczen.
I know, and like this is maybe a question for another podcast, and this will go way too long. But I'd love to get to the bottom of, like, you always say, like, I'm a fan of this guy, I'm a fan of the gas guy. I'm not. I would love to know if the extremely short list of guys that you are not a fan of.
The short list. Oh man, that's a tough one. I feel like I'm such a fan of the sport. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I like everybody. Like, it's so tough for me to be like, don't really like that guy. I will tell you, like, Tomac's an amazing rider. I love what he does off on the bike. When it comes to off the bike, bit of a stale piece of bread to me, man. I'm not the biggest fan of, like,
he doesn't offer much.
I respect what he does on the bike. The guy is a messiah.
He's this era's Dungey, though, to me. Like, that's why I was never a Dungey fan. I was never a Dungey guy, because he gave you, like, all his social media posts were all, like, professionally done by Red Bull or KTM. Like, he was always, like, he's always standing in front with his, like, all right, here we go, this is my sponsor, cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's, like, he's not in the comment section telling anyone to lick his balls or whatever, that's what I want out of my Supercross superstars. I want a little bit of edge. Let's stay on the Tomac talk for a little bit here. Let's talk about a guy, like you'd mentioned. Your first question to me was, does Kenny have to worry about Webb? My question to you is, does Dylan, Superfan Dylan on Twitter, as well as the entire Tomac Nation, are they quaking in their boots when they see their guy be, like, typical bad starts and just getting up to 5th and staying there? Like, he was coming, he had some speed, he had some quick laps. You look at the lap times, he's moving and shaking. But he's, like, if you want to talk about a guy who's, like, sort of in that upper echelon, like, championship style guy, who's like up there in the all-time wins, you're looking for more of a guy who's able to slash his way through the pack. And we've seen that in the past, and we're not seeing that now. And I'm wondering if you think that maybe Tomac, as well as his fan base, might be starting to get a little bit worried.
Oh, that's tough. I think they're not 100% worried, but the idea of, like, come on, we're almost halfway through the series and we're so many points back, only 1 win for the reigning champ, as well as
full race.
Yep, probably one of the most talented riders we've had in the last 15 years. Like, this guy should be, up there a little bit more. I wouldn't say I'd be full panic mode, but I'd be starting to think, like, oh man, we might be in trouble in a race or two if we don't get the ball rolling. And it seems like we don't have much racing left. It's only because we've got, only 3 or 4 venues to stop at, all of them having, 2 or 3 races. I honestly, it's tough right now. I don't think Tomac was quite prepared to have a Ken Roczen that we're having this year, a Cooper Webb who is just so stubborn and will not be refused that freaking win, as well as, like, dude, even, like, guys sneaking up like Osborne. I don't think, like, he really even was prepared for, like, that guy to be up there. This past weekend.
He's meeting a lot of resistance right now.
He is,
and that's not something he's dealt with in the past.
Exactly.
And it's not just one guy that he's dealt with. Like, you think of some of the times where he's gone toe to toe with somebody in a championship hunt, and it's been Webb, it's been Anderson, it was Dungey for that 1 year in 2007 or 2017 rather. And Eli wasn't even pro in 2007. But now he's got a two-headed monster. He's got maybe one of the most lethal and most dialed in 450s in the class in Cooper Webb, who has so much R&D and so much testing available for that motorcycle, keeping in mind that that's also a gas and also a Husqvarna, like all of that research into putting him at the front of the pack. And then you have, by all accounts, you talk to anybody who swung a leg over the 2021 Honda, and they're like, this is the 09 Honda. This is an unstoppable motorcycle all over again, on top of a generational talent like Cooper or Ken Roczen, and he's hitting his stride. That is something that I don't think anybody could be ready for rolling into the season. And I think for those two reasons, those both Tomac and his fan base have something to worry about, because he can go as fast as he wants, but he's going to have to beat both those guys. I don't know if he has enough time, enough skill, talent, and time now with how many points he's down to come back over top of all of that. The only thing that, if you're a Tomac fan, you got something in your back pocket you're not worried about, is the fact that there's a Daytona, and is there 2 or 3 races in Atlanta that are all going to be like outdoor style?
3 races in Atlanta.
So 4 races, four events that are like outdoor style.
Exactly.
For the 3-time outdoor champ. I like those odds.
I do too, and that's why I kind of gave it a little bit of a nod to, not being super worried quite yet. The thoughts of being like, we might have to start pushing the panic button another race or two. But that's why I'm saying that, we've got at least 3 to 4 races where they're pretty much Tomac style. They are Tomac type tracks. So we could see some guys up front falter, and Tomac can make up just yards and yards and yards, with those races being back to back like that. So who knows? It's
those guys haven't really had an off night yet. You know what I mean? Like, they haven't had that like the world blows up in your face and you're laying on the side of the track in the pavement and contemplating life. Neither one of those guys have had that night. Everybody seems to have one. So it'll depend on like, so cliche. You win your championships on your worst nights. Depends on what those nights look like for those guys, because they will have them.
Oh, 100%. That's another variable that gets thrown in there. Like you said, it comes down to good starts, it comes down to consistency, and it comes down to being there. One guy who was there was Justin Brayton.
Talking about good starts.
Grandpa, talking about good starts and being there. Grandpa on 2 wheels. The dude is an absolute stud and was freaking leading laps comfortably. And now there's a difference between leading laps and like, oh my God, I got these guys behind me. Oh my God, I got a sprint. Oh my God, I'm panicking. To like, you know what? I belong up here. I'm gonna lead these guys out for a couple laps. I know where I stand with these guys. I can be a podium dude. I'm gonna go out there and ride races. And it kind of looked like those guys had to work to pass him. And just remember, for you folks out there, keep in mind, the dude is like, well, he's like 30, 36, 37. Like,
I think he's 37.
Yeah, like,
no, he looked comfortable out there, like you and me, just putting down laps at Fort Dodge 2, like, reflex, just you know how it goes. You're just absolutely hitting your marks. Unbelievable start, showing like even furthermore the capabilities of that brand new Honda. Looked good. He kind of got shuffled back a little bit. I'm sure he doesn't love looking at the end of the day. It ended up being an 11th. But still a quality start, and he's led more laps than a lot of guys have even sniffed the front so far this year. Yeah. So if you're Justin Brayton, you can definitely put a feather in your cap and say that at least Orlando 1 was a step in the right direction.
Oh, most definitely, man. And he looks so dialed in his bike. Like, if you would have asked me, that's the same bike he's been riding for the last 5 seasons or so. The guy just looks so comfortable, so smooth, so fluid. And he looks like he belongs right up there with those guys. A lot of people are always saying like, oh, if I was this guy, I would just count my cash and retire. I don't think Brayton can retire for a while, man. Like, he's still competitive. The guy got a podium in the most stacked 450 season we've had in recent memory. He's going to be here for a while, man. I don't see Brayton ever stopping. I hope he doesn't, because this is freaking phenomenal. It gives, the older generation I guess like you and me now, I hate to say it, gives us hope. You know what I mean? Gives us somebody to look up to. So I definitely dig that.
Hey, the one thing we have in common with him is that we actually raced 2 strokes on big bikes, like legitimately, not just stepping on to 250s. We were able to do that. Speaking of 2 strokes and spinning the clocks back, this track in Orlando was a carbon copy. They literally traced it out of Orlando 2007 was the last time we'd been there. I believe that was RC's last race. I'm probably going to watch it on the YouTube later tonight, much to the chagrin of my girlfriend. But like, what were your thoughts on the layout? What were your thoughts on how the track came together? There was slight differences with that wall jump coming out after the whoops and stuff like that. But for the most part, it was the same. How did you like the track? And would you like to see Fell do this with more tracks? Like kind of look back at like Toronto 2014 and some really cool layouts. It doesn't always work out, but some of those tracks were just legendary.
I thought it was sick, man. Honestly, I absolutely love the fact that we kind of went back in time a little bit and brought back some of the nostalgia that a lot of people like myself and you included, Brad, that we like look up to and idolize. And like that's our like golden era of moto. I really dig that. I think we need to see more of that. I think we should see more of like, what was it, like 06 or 07 Phoenix, that epic battle that Ricky and Stu had. I would love to see that track again. I will say, for some reason, the track seemed a bit smaller to me this year. I don't know what it was, like why that is.
It seemed tight.
It seemed
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it was because guys were really tiptoeing around. Like, I don't think we, like, obviously hats off to Randy Meninga, like this, and all in the dirt work guys. Like, just a round of applause, boys. Give it up to those guys, because we had a torrential downpour at 10 a.m. Should have been a mutter. It wasn't, but I think it was a little greasier and a little more snotty than we actually, like, as we could really, like, I wasn't down on the floor, neither were you, couldn't really see. I think there was a lot more kind of wheel spin and like edges grabbing tires that like maybe a little bit understated. It looked really, really solid, but I think guys had to tiptoe around a little bit more. I think that's why you saw like when Christian Craig had his big one, and when guys would just like, they'd kind of like, when you see a lot of guys either clipping or going long, it means they're not dialed into like the way that the jumps and the soil is throwing you. And I think that really held some guys back.
I agree with you. I think a lot of people were saying too, like their fronts were kind of pushing a little bit going to some of those flat corners.
So you talked to Marty then?
Yeah, I talked to Marty. Bummer for Marty, man, but that's a whole separate conversation. But no, I thought it was super cool. I would love to see more of that. And a fun thing was a few guys dug up archives and found lap times from RC, Ricky, Chad from back then, and compared them to lap times of the guys on Saturday night. And it looked like the guys in 07 were a little bit faster. Stewart, especially, maybe like a second or two faster than Webb. Now, was this a good apples to apples comparison, or can you really not really compare the two?
You can't really. You can't. They're not like perfect. Like, first of all, that wall jump coming out like after the whoops, going along the mechanics area, that wasn't there. So that's something that like give a guy the ability to just rip through there versus have to do a wall jump. That's completely different. Then you get the transitions of the jumps. The shape of the first turn was completely different, and the way they all came together. Is it a close representation? Sure. But like Supercross tracks all over the place are always between 46 and 55 seconds. Like, that's not even that much of a gap to begin with, like at the very fastest guys. So I think it was cool. I think it's cool to look back. Obviously, like there's certain things that made this track faster in like just certain ways that they were able to make the whoops, and those whoops looks pretty serious. And then obviously not having that the wall jump there, but also what you had, like the wall jump's not there, but also these are EFI 4-strokes. There was no electric fuel injection on any of the 4-strokes back in 2007. So Hey, like I'm a Stewart fan. You know, I know you're a Stewart fan. We live by that guy, and I would love to think that James Stewart in his prime, 2007. I think he's got 2 seconds on Cooper Webb, so it can't be that far
I 100% agree with you. If you don't like
off.
that, fight me. I don't care. I stand by what Brad said.
No one wants to go to Wisconsin and fight you, man.
Oh yeah, we
Gold.
both freeze now. No, I agree with you 100%. I think one guy that would do really well in either era was one other than Zach Osborne. Dude, he looked
He
so,
raced. He
raced.
was at that race.
He looked so good this past weekend. I was kind of shocked. I had him.
He didn't even make the night show in 07.
Yeah, right? How old was he in 07? He's still
that would have been his rookie
18,
season.
18, 19, right?
No, he was 17 or 18. Yeah, that was still with I don't even think he was with, he might have been with YOT number 67 on a Yamaha of Troy.
On that super loud Yamaha. Yep. Yeah, I didn't have him pegged anywhere near my top 3. So I think he opened up a lot of eyes for people that maybe haven't had him in the conversation for a little while, because, you know, as with this sport that I'm sure everyone knows, you're only as good as your last race, and what you did months ago, no one remembers, because, you know, the action's always coming lap after lap, weekend after weekend. So it was a pleasant surprise. Brown, I have a question for you. Do you think that this was more of a fluke, podium for Zach Osborne, or is this a step in the right direction of, hey, I'm going to continue to be a podium guy? This is something you can expect to see week in and week out from here on out, or at least I'm building towards that towards the end of the season. What do you think that is for Zach Osborne right now?
I think that the only 2 guys who are more affected and draft more off of momentum and success than anybody is Cooper Webb and Zach Osborne. When Zach Osborne has a great, like when he took that win at the last Supercross and turned that into, I can do this, and he went out and won a 450 outdoor title. You and I get so, like, growing up, we were so spoiled by having these guys like Stu, guys like Ricky, who, like, they would win the Supercross title, and then, like, a week later they line up with the outdoor settings and still spank everybody. And like, it, as much as that there has been years like that, it's not always the case. It's like a guy who's just, like, there's some guys that are just really good at Supercross versus some of the guys who are really standout outdoors. We had some guys who just absolutely dominated the sport in through our most formidable years, and it to a point, it throws people for a loop when you see someone dominate outdoors and then not able to replicate that in Supercross. And we've seen that with guys like Michael Alessi in the past. And honestly, I think that Zach has the speed, the fitness, and now he has the confidence to ride up with those guys. If he continues to get those starts, and that's a big if, because his starts have been absolute dog shit since the beginning of the season. If he's able to get those starts, he'll be a top 3 to 5 guy. If he continues to be outside the top 13 on the first lap, there's too much talent in this class. It won't happen again.
I agree with you. I don't think you can give up anything. I don't care if that starts, whoop speed, corner speed, forethought, and just, timing, racecraft. Everything has to be so perfectly on point for that to happen. And I don't think any one of these guys can afford to lag. I agree with you 100%. And I think this is something that Osborne, I'm sure he knows. But yeah, if he continues to get a good start, I can't see why he can't be a podium threat and really put a wrench into the inner workings of these top 3 guys that we have in points right now. It's great to see, and I'm yet another treat that we have as race fans, another guy that's up there. And I like what you said, going way over time, obviously, about us being spoiled with the Stews and the Rickies and the Chads, these guys that can go from, discipline to discipline, indoor, outdoor, and win no matter what they're thrown. That's just a testament to how fast those guys were, how dedicated, and how just legendary talents there were. I don't know if we're ever going to see someone like that again. I think we have guys like Tomac or ROCZEN that could get it done, but the level that the rest of the competition's at, that's a lot to ask, man, nowadays.
I don't think we will, honestly. I think Tomac is probably the last guy, like the last generation who grew up moto most of the time, like 80% of them growing up with like maybe 20% supercross with a focus on it right before you turn pro. Whereas now you get kids like Jem and Josh Faries in the East Coast. Like that kid was grown up on supercross. He was doing supercross. Like he was hitting the catapult at the arena cross track at Milestone on a 65. No problem. Hitting this thing. We're doing it. They're bred for it. They do it all the time. And that's where the money is in the sport. So that's where they focus, especially as young guys. I don't think that we're going to have those like more well-rounded champions going forward. I could be totally wrong. I eat a bunch of crow in 10 years from now when we get somebody that wins every title indoors and out for a while. But like given the fact that we had a different champion in 2018, 19, 20, and then now we're looking at likely there's a good chance that we're at least having a different winner than last year with the championship. I think that that's what we're seeing is that there's just so many guys that are at that quality, and that it's tough to stay at the front.
I agree with you. I 100%. There's so many guys that are just kicking ass at point blank that are just so fast, so dedicated, so dialed. It's hard to pick a guy. And with all of these guys who are such just amazing talents, you and I could only dream of having 1/10 of their overall abilities in a dirt bike. Who do you think is the most impressive out of the 450 guys? We've got a huge list of them. Everybody's just showing so much speed. We've got Resurgent from Barsha. We've got BRAYTON, who's making a name for himself. We've got ROCZEN, who is just, I mean, killing it. Tomac had a sneaky win. There's so many guys we can name. Who has stood out to you this year as being like, oh wow, this guy is really making something happen?
Well, if I'm looking at this from a grand scale of all the way back to Salt Lake of last year, the guy who's really like completely reinvented himself, it's almost a tie, but I'll give it the edge to Kenny in the fact that he won one race in Salt Lake, I think, if any, or none.
No,
I think he won any.
I think he won one Salt Lake.
I think he won one of them.
Yeah.
But then like proceeded the rest of those 6 rounds was kind of a bum. And then he skipped outdoors.
Yeah.
Like, I'm getting my body right. I'm not going to race outdoors. Out of sight, out of mind. Comes back as the Zen master. He's just his gear is always sick. I don't even know why I said that. It was the weirdest thing I've ever said in my entire life.
We'll run with it. We'll coin it.
Right now. Like, I was thinking drippy and sick because I can't go with the drippy thing, and she's still laughing at me. He's hilarious. But like the sickest gear, I should quit talking on podcasts altogether after that line. That was brutal. That was unforgivable. I just committed like 7 deadly sins of podcasting. But regardless, I will continue to talk about Ken Roczen and his sick setup head to toe in the Fox gear. But like he's come back, and he is as advertised 2017 Roczen, who was supposed to just lay the wood to everybody. Check me out, brand new Honda, #1 plate at the Monster Energy Cup, eats shit, comes back in Supercross, wins 1 out of 2 races, and then dies at Anaheim too. Like, we're seeing that guy show up, and that is so cool. And his like where he was to where he's at now, complete night and day. Honorable mention to Justin Barcia, who had an absolutely dog shit Salt Lake, was basically invisible all outdoors. And then like he's on the gas, fun, win at the first round. His gear is also sicky. I'm sticking with it. I'm just doubling down on that now. At this
point, run with it, man.
Yeah, it makes more sense than drippy to me. But either way, he's head to toe in the he's got the Alpine Star boots, Oakley goggles. He's one of like maybe 2 guys in the whole 450 class that runs Oakleys, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then he's got TLD, everything else. I like Barsha. Those are my 2 guys for most impressive. I think I just stole your whole 3 minutes, maybe 8 minutes for that one.
You're right. At this point, we're 10-minute segments now. No, honestly,
Perfect.
obviously ROCZEN. But to be honest with you, ROCZEN had a pretty stellar early first half of 2020. So
what about Marv? Marv has been strong. Like
Marv has been very strong
strong
too. Yeah, exactly. I think Marv has been someone that, again, he's kind of under the radar. But if you look at the results, it really doesn't show just how strong he's been. And remember, that guy was off the bike for a very long time. So it's really it's pretty cool to see him come back and be so successful with what he's doing. And again, remember, this is a very, very stacked year. I think ROCZEN had he's not as surprising to me because he had such a great first half of 2020. I mean, just the fact that he led most of Daytona in front of a hungry Tomac, to me, was like a super successful. He might as well have won that race, dude. That was just so great to see. So I would say ROCZEN's pretty impressive, but man, I really gotta say it's either Barsha for me, completely revamping the whole Barsha brand. The guy looks, like you said, phenomenal, but on the bike, man, it just looks like Bam Bam that we had in the 250 class on a CRF 250, just hanging it out, having fun.
2011.
Tons of style, just revving it out. Just like he looks so comfortable.
Telling Lance Vincent to go pound sand after he messed him up that one race.
Yeah, right. Like it's just so cool. It's pound. Yeah, nicely. That was the biggest euphemism for what a dick move that was.
That was amazing.
That was amazing. I mean, I thought Barsha was great, but also Webb for not having a very I guess very star-studded 2020 to come and upset ROCZEN, who has been
just no hype train.
Yeah, well, yeah, really 2020 was really no hype train for Webb, and to come back in 2021 and upset and really bother and steal wins away from Ken ROCZEN, who's on a tear
from Kenny.
That's a pretty impressive move for Webb. So I'm kind of torn between again,
I agree.
love ROCZEN, torn between Barsha and Webb for those 2 guys having an impressive showing. Yeah, I think.
All right. And I honestly, Webb last year, I'll tell you this. How many guys can you think of have gotten their championship taken away and then come back and won one?
Yeah, exactly.
Like McGrath did it in 98, comes back and takes his throne back. But like I think of Jeff Stanton in 1994. Like he was kind of in the position that Cooper's in right now, where like last year you got your lunch fed to you. What do you do when you come back in 1994? Or when Ricky finally like laid the wood to McGrath in 01. No, 01. And then he comes back in 02. McGrath still wasn't the same guy. Like, you know what I mean? Or Chad in 03. No, 04. 04, Chad comes in, wins the championship. 2005, Ricky shows up on a Suzuki and just spanks everybody.
Yeah.
Like being able to come back and win that championship and like, you know what I mean? And like, and to be able to basically have your throne taken away from you and keep fighting, move forward and possibly win another. I think that's pretty rare in this sport, and it's cool to see from Webb.
Oh, 100%, man. Again, it just goes to show you how impressive it is when guys actually do that. I mean, think about how dejected you and I get when we get passed at a practice track, by a fast A guy. We're just like, oh man, I thought I was really hauling ass.
One of the kids on the 65s.
Or a fast super mini. We're like, oh, you know what? We're just gonna go home, dude. This sucks. Like, you know what I mean?
That kid's 12.
Exactly. Now imagine if that was our day-to-day livelihood, kids standing in line to get our autograph, having to go through that and still rise above it. Those guys are absolute champions.
I agree. You know what? That's why I ride a lot of night rides. You know what I mean? I go to California. I ride in the evening. All those fast kids past their bedtime. They can't even pass me if they're in bed.
Exactly. It's time for baby Einsteins and juice boxing off the bed.
Yes, sir. Well, I've been known to enjoy myself a baby Einstein, but I know you got some segments to hit before we say goodnight on the Foul Plug Show. And I do appreciate you naming this show after something that literally never happens anymore.
Yeah, isn't it kind of cool? Actually,
Like, when was the last time you fouled a plug?
Oof. 2000.
Two-stroke days.
2005.
Yeah, I don't think I ever fouled a plug on my 125s. Like, after my second year racing, I was never like if the bike stopped, it was because the engine blew, not because I was like riding so slow that it was just covered in black shit and I couldn't ride anymore.
I think I tried my fair share of like little super tight woods loops, and you can't get on the pipe.
Okay, yeah, it's just
yeah. It was literally like 20 minutes into like a woods ride, and I was like, yeah, this is not the sport for me, man. I tell moto.
No, yeah, I don't have the skill set, but go ahead.
Maybe some 50 dads out there fouled plugs. Who knows? I wanted to talk about one more segment before we start to wrap this thing up with some of our other more fun talks. Who do you think needs to turn their season around? Like, we've talked about who's been sort of impressive or guys that stood out to us. Who do you think is on the other side of that coin that's like, man, it's time to get going? We really got to turn the season around and make something happen.
I think that would go to, I think it's the 2017, maybe 16 Horizon Award winner. And most people by now have forgotten that he won this award. I'm talking about the baby giraffe that is Benny Bloss. Bloss wins the Horizon Award, winning the 450A class in Loretta's 2000. I think it was 16 or it might have been 17. I think it was 16 because he raced Supercross in 17 for Rock River. And he was super tall. And then for like half a minute, he was on the Blue Buffalo team. That didn't pan out because Blue Buffalo. And then like I expect like for a guy who was the Horizon Award winner, a guy who's podiumed an outdoor moto, my expectation is I know he's coming off kind of an injury-riddled season. He doesn't have the same support that he had years previous when he was on RMC, ATV, KTM.com, whatever that team is called anymore. They owe Beg at $300,000. But either way, I expect more. You know what I mean? I really thought that he would be more of like a 12th to 15th. And I think 14th is his high water mark this year. Like, he hasn't even scratched the top 10, and I haven't seen him like no flashes. Like, there's no good starts from Benny. So that's my guy who needs, like, I don't think this isn't like, if I texted this to him, it's not news. It's no surprise. But I think that I think if anybody's a little bit more bummed on his result, it's either him or Brock Tickle, and they're on the same team. And like, Brock's a 250 champ. Like, he should be up there. If you want to put him in the same class as a guy like Malcolm Stewart, like I'm pretty sure Malcolm put Tickle a lap down this last weekend.
Yeah, especially since Malcolm had really good rides on the same bike as those two guys. But Malcolm was like podium threat speed. It didn't pan out that way, but the speed was there fairly consistently, and on the same bike, same program as these guys. So I think it says something for how much those guys need to kind of make up that spot. And I would agree with you. I'd say Benny Bloss would be it. And I know some guys are going to hate me, but I kind of expected to see an AC win at this point in the season. I know he had some good rides.
He's dealing with an injury though.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying
he's got that adductor. You can't pinch with your legs.
Yep. Injury aside, if I would have expected him, if he was healthy again, if he's healthy, I think he would have multiple wins by now. I think that he had the all in the nerve issue, and then that was a mountain to climb. Yep.
And then now he's dealing with I don't know if people like an anatomy lesson here. Your hip adductor is what adds your leg, pinches your leg in. If you don't have the strength or the stability to do it, you can't go through whoops.
Yep.
You can't go 3 onto a table.
Yep.
You know what I mean? All of those things that require a lot of strength and a lot of stability, he's not able to do that right now. And that's everything to these guys.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
he's walking wounded, and I've been like literally every time I open my phone expecting to see a press release from Cowie or a social post from him being like, hey, the body's not right, dealing with an issue, and we need to take some time off. I think he's laboring and trying to get through Orlando, like the 2 Orlandos, because then they get the weekend off to hopefully recover. But I'm worried that like I almost feel like it's more likely that he's going to take some time off here to get right rather than actually start to see improvement and move in the right direction.
I kind of agree with you. I mean, if we did see a healthy AC, I do wonder if he's able to put it down with, like, the likes of Barsha, who is, like I said, rejuvenated, and Ken Rock.
Fastest qualifier.
Well, yeah, but man, I mean, when it comes down to racing, those guys were so
I know,
freaking solid. But yeah, I would say injury, understandable. These guys put their body through a lot. We definitely get that. I would say Bloss or AC. Again, we're probably putting an asterisk next to that one because AC is a little tweaked up right now.
You had high expectations, and that's fair.
Yeah, I am. He's baby Jesus,
and he also has not been forthcoming with the details.
Yes,
and this is my issue with all the guys who, like, they ride hurt, but they don't tell you they're hurt, and they're like, why is AC in 10th? Like,
exactly.
Yeah,
which I think
frustrating me to no end.
What are we gonna do, Brad? We're gonna wrap this thing up with just 2 quick ones. We can't do a foul plugs without doing our coveted drip check. Or Sicky, that's Brad. Sicky check. Brad, I think I know we're gonna go with this one. I want you to go first. Who had the drippiest kit, most standout setup for you this past weekend?
I'm gonna go off the beaten path because, like, I already mentioned how sick the head to toe look was for ROCZEN. But I love a nice set of like or black hoodie mafia. Yep. We're repping that. You got the SGB Kawasaki team motif going, supporting the team that supports you. Love it. But I love that Alpine Stars gear that Tomac was running. I wish he was up front more so we could see it more. But like a nice clean, like, the all black and white gear with the white boots and the monster claw helmet. I thought it was pretty strong. I also didn't mind the stuff that the Star guys were wearing, that kind of like the all black stuff with the kind of metallic hologram looking Thor on there. That's also strong. And and when you got a guy as stylish as Colt wearing it, please.
Exactly, man. That dude looks super dope. We got to give it. I would say I agree that the Star kit kind of stood out to me the most, except with an honorable mention going towards Cooper Webb with the MX vs ATV Unleashed throwback kit to 05. That was pretty cool to see. That was really interesting to see.
Actually, you know what? That was sweet gear. You know what's funny though? It looked better on Coop than it did on Marv.
Yeah.
Marv was wearing the same thing, and it didn't look as cool.
Marv's just a skinny dude, like skinny, lanky, like, So
I had a long conversation with Chris Kiefer about this because him and I are gear snobs.
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, like that compression stuff's awesome. I love it. And I'm like, it doesn't look good on moto dudes. Moto dudes are not linebackers. Like when you have Marv at 125 pounds. You got a skeleton with spandex on. It doesn't come off cool. And that's just how I feel about it. Yeah. Also, and like we're not probably going to get a chance to talk about it until we get to see it live. And like, you can give me all the shit in the world for this, because I'm going to give you all the praise in the world with your friends over at FXR. The combination of the Chaparral Honda and that red, white, and blue FXR gear is hot.
Thank you.
Scorching right now. That stuff actually looks really, 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 really solid.
It does.
I can't believe I'm saying this because I'm not always like just flying that flag. That is a terrible, ugly set of gear. But like No, the red, white, and blue is no, you know I'm kidding with you, but the red, white, and blue is sharp, especially when you got Cody Schock, who's just like talking about bike skills, a guy who can get that thing upside down.
It's every photographer's dream. Like number one,
he's
the kid's sick.
I could take a good photo of him.
And the guy could literally, he could be just eating cereal and he's gonna do it in like a cool, stunning sort of. You know what I mean?
Drain plug in his sleep. I love it.
It was that whole setup is so cool. I'm glad you said that. I was texting the FXR guys this weekend, like,
for all the mean things I say about FXR throughout the year. Like,
I get one nice thing, right? No, I hit up all the FXR guys. They're like, dude, this is like the sickest gear combo. It makes me want to go out and buy a Honda and that kit to do it justice. So
yeah, because you couldn't just go out like Lloyd Christmas and look red, like the red and the green. That wouldn't look right. But you know what that gear that cult like that look would look good with though?
What's that?
On the green Cowie.
Which one?
Would be like a royal blue with either like a yellow, like almost like a, like not the pale yellow of your jersey, but like the canary yellow of your number plate.
Yeah.
The blue and the yellow, similar to the color combo that Fox had back in like 2004.
Yeah, yep. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I think that would be a cool setup too. I definitely like that one. I think we're gonna see some cool debuts this weekend when we roll over to a brand new coast. Let's kick into our very last segment. We're going to the West Coast races in for Orlando too. And why not hop into some power rankings? So
do it.
We've got a whole new coast with 250s, 450s, of course, moving along as normal. Brad, I think we've talked about the 450s at nauseum for a lot of people.
Yes.
Who are your top three for the 250 West Coast? This is a bunch of new guys that we haven't seen in a while, guys that we forgot even pretty much exist on the planet. Who are your guys that you're looking out for?
They listen to this. Well, I hope you guys are watching, knowing that we've forgotten about you. Sorry, not sorry. But I think that some guys are there to come out swinging fast and make statements. I think that you're going to see a vast improvement. He's never raced Supercross, but I think from his rookie campaign was a little bit underwhelming. Was Styles Robertson. I think he's going to come out and be a podium guy, which is like, surprised everybody. And then I think that Jeremy Martin is going to win multiple races. I think he's going to be super strong. I actually like him for the championship. And honestly, there's a lot of talent and a lot of speed, but there's not a lot of experience on the West.
Yes.
And for that reason, I think that Alex Martin is going to be a weekend in, weekend out podium threat for those guys. I think it's going to be really, really strong. And their championship is going to be a little bit different than the East was, in that they're going to have one round and then they're literally off for a weekend, like basically 2 weeks. Whereas in that same time, the East guys had 4 rounds in the books. They're literally be rolling into their second round after the East guys had 4 rounds completed. That's absolutely nutty to me. And they have a completely different way of attacking it. It's going to really be really interesting to see how that really plays out and kind of take shape. What are your thoughts?
I agree with you. I think a lot of people didn't really realize that it's being broken up and split up like that, where we had such a huge mad pack of races for the East guys and the West guys. It's almost like business as usual as the past couple of seasons.
Yeah,
they have their
except for not on the right coast.
Except for the West Coast.
The West Coast is happening in Florida.
Probably the most East
Georgia.
Coast. Please. But hey, at least we have races. I agree with you. I like J Mart for just a number of wins. I think he's gonna love being back in the Yamaha that has so much power. Most people don't know what to do with it, so I think he's gonna love that. I also like Justin Cooper. I feel like is gonna be amazingly solid on that.
Okay. Even though he's been on the bike for like 3 weeks.
I think he's just the way that he snaps back to form. I don't know, man. I have a hard time kind of knocking him out. And I also think that Jordan Smith is going to be pretty solid too. I don't think he's going to be.
What about Whackers? What about McAdoo?
I like
McAdoo.
So year in and year out, I always tag McAdoo as like, all right, this is the year that the guy's going to be a podium threat. We're going to see a bunch of two threes and some sneaky ones. And every year he just falls just short, and he's like the number one fourth place dude. Like if there's a fourth place happening, McAdoo's got it, which is not taking any smack on him. I think he's great.
No.
I just think for whatever reason, he's missing just a little bit to his racecraft to take him towards that podium spot when the checker flag waves. So I will say I'm waiting. I'm reserving myself until I see how it shakes out after the first couple of races. I do want to say honorable mention. I want to see how Masterpool does, and I'm pretty sure he's riding for the Gas team.
Hi.
The guy is going to be pretty solid.
AEO.
Yes.
AEO Motorsports.
Yep.
He's not on that like the Gas Monkey team. No, that's different.
That's different. Yes.
But somehow that's different. They look very similar, but they are different. It is the AEO Motorsports. I think they're out of Texas.
Yep. And he looks very good in the bike for Supercross. How, like you said though, the guy is he's inexperienced with Supercross. This is a different.
Never raced one.
Different than whole shotting Redbud, right? It's a whole different category.
And claiming it one-hander.
Exactly. Going out in infamy. And again, the guy is a talent. He will go fast. He might even have some P1s at the end of qualifying number 2. But when it comes to putting it all together for races,
who's tough. More likely to have a big one, him or McAdoo?
Ooh, I'd say
when I see Ty Masterpool, I see shades of Zach Bell.
Yes. Oh, that's a
like Zach Bell, like throwing it. I'm small. I'm 110 pounds, and I'm also going to like launch myself into the third row. Good thing there's no people sitting there.
Yeah.
And like I reserve judgment. He might come in and just be like, "Yo, what up?" and just start clicking off. Yes. Obviously, they have a fantastic facility down there. He'll be racing against I believe Jake is also racing West Coast 250 Supercross, even though he's like 6'4". He's a big kid, isn't he?
Big kid.
But I think they're both racing, as far as I know. But yeah, like I think that like obviously for like more than anything, the 250 West is going to have depth.
Yes.
There's at least 20 guys with national numbers racing on that coast. And I'm also interested to see.
Does that mean that our fantasy is going to be a little bit more stable instead of being like this every freaking weekend?
Yeah, I think it means that I'm going to continue to do even better. And you will be the founder.
Here we go. Come on. I can't have one thing.
I don't know. Maybe. I'm bummed on myself. I shouldn't have put Harriman on my team. If I had gone Nice over Harriman, I'm literally like top 20 in the game. Period.
Dude, literally, I've just been playing in a sub 220 realm for going on 4 weeks now.
And you live there.
Dude, it's been so
you have permanent residency in like the sub 220 club.
So frustrating.
You and Brienne.
So guys, if you haven't already, please sign up to join the Collective Experience League on Pulp MX Fantasy, as well as Big MX Radio, where you guys can win some cold hard cash, at least from my league. Brad,
you can win $100 from mine.
Okay, cold hard cash from Brad's too. I still owe you $10 for that, buddies. It's on the way.
Yes, you do.
Guys, please
10 US, by the way.
10 okay. So is that 50 Canadian? Guys, please continue to support the Collective Experience on YouTube as well as on Instagram, and of course you have to support Big MX Radio for some of the most fun, comprehensive, and informative podcasts you will ever hear out there. Big MX Radio at all places that that podcasts are available. Brad, this has been super fun. You and I are going to chat for our race live race watch party this Saturday for the race. I'm excited for that one. Guys, Be sure to tune into those. We're going to give away tons of prizes. We're going to bench race. We're going to go over all the industry talk that you guys love, as well as give away some cool prizes and maybe have some cool guests on that one as well. Be sure to hit that subscribe button for more videos of comprehensive race reviews, giveaways, fun chats, vlogs, and more. Brad, we're going to talk soon. Guys, thank you, and you enjoy your week.